Hi, everybody. I'm Heather Gustafson. I represent Senate District 36. It's 9 cities. The 3 biggest ones are Vadnais Heights, White Bear Lake, and Lino Lakes. Since January 2023, Senate DFL majority has been focused on making improvements to everyday lives of working-class Minnesotans. No matter where you live in our state, you should be able to afford the essentials: groceries, housing, energy, health care, child care, higher education. These are not luxuries, they're basic needs. In our state, we've accomplished a lot, helping working-class Minnesotans afford their everyday lives. Universal school meals saves the average family almost $2,000 per year on groceries. The North Star Promise allows working-class families to put their kids through college with no tuition costs. Paid family medical leave builds a financial safety net for Minnesotans as they care for themselves, a loved one, or a newborn. Specifically, we've heard a lot about property tax relief. Nearly $1 billion in property tax relief through targeted refunds for homeowners, renters, seniors, and farmers, as well as aid to local governments. A nation-leading child tax credit, cutting childhood poverty by 1/3, helping families pay for groceries, diapers, school supplies, clothing, and other necessities. Cutting the tax on Social Security, making 80% of Minnesotan seniors exempt from it. And I will point out that those last 3 things, you hear a lot from Republican lawmakers about how those were a priority. Every single Republican voted against those provisions. These are significant achievements that make a real difference for working-class Minnesotans. But as public servants, our work is never finished. Right now across the country, whether it's because of the war with Iran and skyrocketing gas prices, increasing wealth inequity, and Congress and administration tipping the scales in favor of the ultra-wealthy, or federal cuts to our social security nets, social safety nets, Americans are hurting more than ever. The Senate DFL majority is responding to the real problems Minnesotans are facing. We are passing bills, often with bipartisan support in our chamber, but we're not seeing the appropriate urgency on the issue of affordability from the House GOP. We've seen House Republicans flip-flopping on their promises to constituents because of politics, and we've seen some House Republicans miss votes in committees. We've seen them let bipartisan bills die in committees and that GOP authors conveniently don't sit on. Minnesotans deserve better. We've proven that we can work together across the aisle on issues like fraud prevention, and I'm proud of the work that we've done. But in the last 10 days of session, we need to see House Republicans come to the table and act in good faith on the issue of affordability. Minnesotans can't afford the House GOP strategy of running out the clock. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Senator Erin May Quaid. I represent Apple Valley, Rosemount, and Eagan. 10 months ago, Republicans gave billionaires a $4.5 trillion tax cut, and in order to do so, they cut Medicaid from 250,000 Minnesotans, they cut food support for 30,000 Minnesotans, they raised health insurance costs for 138,000 Minnesotans, and they raised energy costs for Minnesotans and expected to go up between 25% and 42% in the next handful of years. I don't think it's controversial to say that the federal government and Republicans are in the pockets of mega corporations and the uber wealthy. Everything they have done has been to make billionaires richer. And there are a lot of ways that Republicans try to hide the fact that they're bleeding us dry and getting in the pockets of private equity as well. The things that we need to live safe, dignified lives clearly do not matter to our Republican colleagues in the federal government. We need it to matter here in the state of Minnesota. That is why we are begging our Republican colleagues in the House to pass these bipartisan bills to make sure that Minnesotans can afford their lives. With the DFL majority in the Senate, we have passed bill after bill to protect Minnesotans from the corporations and the uber wealthy that want to take over our communities and drain them of resources. Under many Republican presidents, the federal government was an ally in keeping Minnesotans housed, healthy, and happy. We might have disagreed on specific policies, but never have we seen an all-out attack on the ability to live for the residents of this state. We can work together to protect ourselves from what the federal government is doing, from the actions to try to bleed us dry, to make sure that constituents have health care, food, housing, energy, access to higher education and childcare. But we need the House Republicans to join us in that work. And that is our plea today.
I'm Senator Liz Bolden. I represent District 25, which is the Rochester area. I wish I was here telling you that we had an agenda with a different focus. I would love to be telling you about our plans for universal child care, expanding Minnesota Care, or any number of forward-looking policies to expand opportunities for Minnesotans. But we have the responsibility to respond to the current moment, which means we have to spend money to backfill the cuts from the federal government, and the majority of our budget is an attempt to mitigate harm and protect Minnesotans from federal cuts and attacks. We would rather be expanding access to health care and lowering insurance costs, but instead, we have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars to mitigate the harm of Trump's cuts to Medicaid, so he could build a ballroom and give tax breaks to his billionaire buddies. We could be working to solve food insecurity, but because of cuts to SNAP and cost shifts to the counties, we're doing all we can just to avoid the total collapse of our emergency food networks and ensure Minnesotans have food to eat. We'd like to be investing in childcare to lower costs for Minnesota families, but $700 million of our budget is being sunk into responding to the one big, terrible Republican bill that is kicking people off of health care, raising costs for everyone, and pushing our hospitals to the brink of closure. Donald Trump sent a paramilitary force to invade our cities, kidnap our neighbors, and traffic our children, and left us with the work and costs of making our small businesses whole again, rebuilding our communities, and trying to bring people home. A staggering 450,000 Minnesotans will see cuts to essential food supports because of the federal government, and Donald Trump's illegal tariffs cost the average family $1,700 more last year. Between the rising costs of food, housing, healthcare, and gas, Minnesotans are being squeezed in all directions, while Trump and MAGA Republicans are prioritizing spending on ballrooms, billionaires, and bombs. Minnesotans deserve better, which is why the Senate DFL has taken action.
Thank you all for being here. I'm Grant Hochschild. I'm the state senator from the most rural district in the state, the Arrowhead region. I want to talk a little bit about what Senator Bolden just got done talking about, because as the senator from the most rural district in the state, I think a lot about what the federal government has done, particularly to rural communities like mine. I don't want to go too down a rabbit hole, but the big beautiful bill, which is the biggest oxymoron in legislative history, in my opinion, has had a devastating impact on rural communities, on rural counties, and that's to say nothing about the devastation it will have on rural health care and SNAP in our communities. You see, rural communities, rural counties like mine have a disproportionate amount of Medicaid recipients and SNAP recipients. That means when the federal government passes something like the Big Beautiful Bill and gives tax cuts to billionaires, not only are those tax cuts going to the wealthiest in the coastal cities in our country, but they're taking from the very hardworking people on the Iron Range and districts like mine in order to pay for it. And unfortunately, what we're also seeing is that those bills that they're passing at the federal level have unfunded mandates that get passed down to local governments like mine. One example is the Big Beautiful Bill will pass costs for SNAP and Medicaid administration, and one of my counties, the largest county geographically in the state, St. Louis County, predicts it costs $16 million on levy increases in that county. So what does that mean? That means not only are we giving those tax cuts to the wealthiest, but we're then saying to the property owners and the seniors on fixed income in rural communities, you get to pay higher property taxes in order to pay for all of the devastation that we're doing at the federal level. Oh, and we're going to pull your hospital away too. We're going to pull the SNAP benefits away from your food shelf locally as well. That is the ridiculousness that we are seeing at the federal level, and that's why I'm proud of what we have done in the state Senate to present this fair deal for Minnesotans, because we're backfilling and making sure we're funding many of the critical things that Minnesotans rely on, while also looking at relief packages like the one that I have in the Senate Tax Committee. We have a real proposal that would provide $100 million in direct property tax refunds to Minnesotans this year, in a refund that would occur in September or October after the application in August. This is a realistic approach. We've seen, in my opinion, phony proposals from the House GOP saying, oh yeah, we'll just give billions in tax cuts and not think about the budget. Well, this is a real proposal that the Senate Tax Committee has passed out of committee to say we want to provide property tax relief to Minnesotans to make up for the devastation from the Big Beautiful Bill. So my hope is that our colleagues across the aisle and in the House will join us in actually looking at real property tax relief this session. And it's not just taxes, right? As the previous speakers have talked about, we have passed a substantial amount of bills, oftentimes in a bipartisan fashion, that address some of the critical issues we face, from making prescription drugs more affordable for Minnesotans, helping people put food on the table, addressing the cost of housing and utility assistance for rising utility costs, stopping fraud and protecting taxpayers. That's something that Senator Gustafson has led on since last year, and we're just now hopefully getting to something that will have bipartisan support. And then, of course, the targeted property tax relief that I just got done talking about. So this is a real plan that the Senate DFL has led on. It's a fair deal for Minnesotans, and it'll help address the devastation coming from the federal government. And with that, I'd like to pass it to Majority Leader Erin Murphy. Thank you.
Good morning. I am grateful to be standing with my colleagues here today. I am the proud Majority Leader in the Minnesota Senate, and you can hear from them both their passion and commitment to the people of Minnesota, and I think a fair amount of frustration with where we stand right now in the Minnesota legislature. We have been really clobbered, states have been clobbered by the federal government in ways that you would never have imagined when you think about a longstanding partnership between the state government and federal governments. But this administration has chosen to enrich the wealthiest Americans at the expense of the people who need our help and support, who have relied on things like Medicaid and SNAP. And further, the choices that they're making at the federal level have made everything more expensive for people. And you've seen us come into this session pursuing a fair deal for the people of Minnesota. We have worked very hard. I am proud to say we are the grown-ups in the room, focusing on things like rental assistance, heating assistance, food support, and a number of other things that they are talking about here, both policy and budget items that we have passed through and we are ready to negotiate over. And at times we're not finding willing partners because they've not been able to do the work in the House. Minnesotans and their counties are getting clobbered, and we're going to see property taxes continuing to rise because of the work at the federal government and the cost shifts and the mandates they're pushing onto the counties. Senator Houschild's proposal to relieve property taxes puts money right into people's pockets. What Heather Gustafson has talked about in terms of her persistent work on fraud is going to save people money and make sure people have confidence in our government. But everything that we have done since 2023 has been about putting money into people's pockets, because we knew when we came in at the start of this term that people were struggling with the cost of things, and that has only increased. And we are responding with a budget proposal that advances a fair deal for the people of Minnesota in meaningful, real ways. They're counting on us, and we are fighting very hard in these last 11 days of session to make that a reality for the people of Minnesota. Hi, Mary LaHammer.
Hi, Madam Leader. The first item listed is HCMC. That seems to have some bipartisan momentum. What do you think the prospects are in the final days?
I feel very good that we're going to get something done, but the Senate's position is the strongest of the positions. The House Democrats have been pushing a long-term solution, and I am proud of that. I don't think it has support, but we know that we need an infusion of cash, not just for HCMC, but for our rural critical access hospitals, for rural EMS, and for providers across the state. And we came in prepared to make that offer and to seal that deal. So we need to take care of HCMC. We also need to take care of our rural hospitals, because the the big, beautiful bill, as Senator Houschild described it, has done a lot of damage and will continue to do damage for the next 10 years, and we're not willing to just let it happen. We need to act.
In your talks with House DFL and GOP leadership, where does it feel like they're at on not just the HCMC funding, but also the other rural hospitals and that element of it?
We haven't concluded there yet, and I think people understand that we have an issue that is broader than HCMC, and I'm hopeful. Okay.
17 items listed here. You're the one amongst this group who's in on all of the negotiations there with the GOP and the DFL from the House and the governor. Of these 17, how many are you discussing in those meetings?
Well, here's how it works. We are in talking about the budget particularly, and then the work that our committee members have done will populate what we are able to accomplish in the end. So some of these things are being talked about in the room, some of them are not. Some of these things on this list are in policy bills that are moving their way through, or we will nudge them through because we know that they are important for the people of Minnesota.
Do you guys have any kind of self-imposed deadline on kind of reaching a global deal in there?
I really hope that we're able to reach a global deal before the weekend. Yeah.
So you're not,
before the
are you
weekend.
going fishing?
I hope to go fishing. I hope to celebrate Mother's Day, more importantly.
I mean, does that, not to read too much into what you're saying, but does that mean that there's been significant progress toward a global agreement? Are you feeling good about, I guess, what you guys have done so far?
So as negotiations go, fits and starts, and I will quote my colleague, my former colleague, Melissa Hortman, says it's, you know, it's always darkest before the dawn, before the darkness comes the pitch black. We're not quite probably to the pitch black yet.
Do you have some new leaders, though, that have to learn the calendar, quite honestly, that haven't maybe been through a budget cycle before, that you can't pass anything on Monday? I mean, your calendar is shorter, right? And some people haven't led yet through this.
I think everybody understands that we have to be done on Sunday at midnight. Did you want to say something?
The only thing I want to add is that, I know that negotiations are interesting. They're interesting to us who aren't chairs or in the room, but this is our public proposal. And so everything that Senator Murphy is bringing into negotiations, we passed as a Senate. And there's no secret negotiation that this is our offer, this is our proposal. And that is why we're having this press conference, because it's all been in the public. It's not happening in the secret room. We just have a leader who goes into the room to say, hey, this is what we passed. And now we're making the public plea for our House GOP colleagues to also do the work in public so that we can have these negotiations. We can't have conference committees because they haven't passed budget bills. And so, it feels, as a member who likes to do the work, I like to do it in public, it's really hard because we have done our work in public, and we would love for the House Republicans to do theirs in public too.
The Senate DFL and House DFL are largely aligned in priorities and getting these line items here across the finish, or are there areas where the House DFL is kind of differing in approach to some of these, maybe with the same goal?
I'm here with my colleagues in the Minnesota Senate, and the Senate DFL has done incredible work this year. As you've heard us say, we are very proud of the work. We understood coming into this session that Minnesotans are paying a pretty significant price in their own family budgets because of the federal government, and we're taking that incredibly seriously. We are the grown-ups in the room, and we are moving this agenda, hoping to bring everybody else along with us.
Is there political danger in a do-nothing session? We've seen some of those before, and there have been ramifications.
I think it would be a major disappointment if that's what we ended up with. And we came into the session to do work for the people of Minnesota, and we're going to do that.
Do you think it could hurt incumbents more? We're already seeing a little bit of maybe anti-incumbents.
What it would do is hurt Minnesotans, and that's unacceptable.
In terms of property taxes, there's clearly some interest on the House side too. Are you seeing some compromise? Are you in conversations about what to do there?
We will continue to talk about that issue. Yeah.
One of the bills y'all passed pretty early was a rental relief fund for folks impacted by the ICE operation here. That's not on the list, and it hasn't even really progressed in the House at all. Is that something that you're just kind of that's not even part of negotiations now?
No, I do believe that the House is taking that issue up. I do believe that's something that can move.
Do you think it has bipartisan support? You technically had bipartisan support with one Republican.
Well, in the House, it requires bipartisan support. Yeah.
But are you hearing from leadership or others that it will gain some bipartisan support in the House?
I believe there is support in the House.
And other immigration action relief too, with broader things besides rental relief? Is that gaining momentum?
I understand that we'll be taking up the issue of Metro Surge next week. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Closing?
No.
These guys are great.
And on the floor, you'll have bills when you say next week.
Okay.